It's so funny because the Dargo head is really like thick. So it's like a guy with a gigantic head, but like a tiny human body. Welcome to ScapeChatz, episode 19. I'm Alan, and I'm here with my friend Magellan to discuss 2 episodes of Farscape. This week, we watched Season 2, Episode 14, Beware of Dog, and Season 2, Episode 15, Won't Get Fooled Again. First up is Beware of Dog, which was written by Naren Shankar, directed by Tony Tilsa, and it aired August 11th, 2000 in the United States. We're here for a live and in-person episode. Yay!
Yay! Same space, same face.
Touching legs.
Yes.
Touching heads. Ow! Ow!
Ow,
Okay.
that one hurt.
That actually did hurt. All right. We watched 2 episodes of Farscape this week.
Yeah.
As we always do.
As we
except
usually
last
do.
week. Except, yeah. That was a fun one. But that was a long time ago. It's been a while since the last one.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a big break for us. But
And
we're back into the swing of things with a really...
divisive, or like very disparate pair of episodes.
All right, I want to just right up front explain my watching experience with this episode.
Yeah.
So, we took a big break, which to you, it's only been...
A week.
A week, sure.
Ish,
or
yeah.
however long you choose to space your episodes out.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been a big break for you too, who knows. But for me, watched the first 16 minutes of this episode pretty soon after the Look at the Princess trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Did.
Yeah.
Then we took this big break, and then just 2 days ago, we watched this episode, Beware of Dog, together. We started over. And, in person. And I hadn't remembered anything from the first 16 minutes. By the time we got to the 16-minute mark again, I had already forgotten everything that had happened in the first 16 minutes once more. And then about 10 minutes before the end of the episode, I fell asleep.
Oh, yeah. No, it was more than 10 minutes before the end of the episode.
You sure?
You were like 3/4 of the way through the episode, you fell asleep.
Yeah.
You missed a lot of the episode.
It's 10 minutes.
But yes. Which I don't fault you for, because A, we watched it fairly late in the afternoon.
Sure.
And we're both sleepy boys. And also, first episode's not great.
It's not.
But, good on them for doing it.
There's just no bones here. There's no
Beware
bones.
of dog bones. Dog bones.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
a dog. This episode, when I started reading the background info, I took a peek at it. I realized that a lot of it is sort of it's sort of like a homage to 80s films like Gremlins and stuff like that. So you can tell, okay, the creators wanted to make that story. But it comes after the Look at the Print, this epic trilogy of episodes where so much happens and we learn so much about characters. And then this one is this very, light, breezy, there's a bad thing on the ship, and we're going to take care of it, and we did it.
Yeah.
It's just a cute alien.
It's just so stock. They basically just pulled from a bucket of sci-fi on-the-ship episodes.
Right.
We're going to do the one where there's a parasite or, a little creature. What's the Star Trek thing that they got to give
Tribbles?
Yeah, Tribbles.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but not nearly like that.
It's not as comedic.
Yeah. Also, just want to point out, this is the writer-director team who brought us The Way We Weren't.
Oh my god.
Earlier in the season.
Whoa!
So what a gulf in quality.
Damn it, Naren, Shankar, and Tony Tilson.
Just goes to show you that nothing is definite in the television business.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, we still have had trouble finding out, each person's directorial and writing style. Because Tony Tilson has directed so many episodes at this point that I don't know what defines.
He's just house
him.
style.
Exactly. They've, we talked about this, house style. He's just that. So I feel like it relies more on the writer, but, I don't know. I expected better with that team. And it's not bad. Not to say it's bad. And if anything, this episode reveals a really key piece of information about the, Season 2, John Crichton progression that we needed to know at some point. And this is, an okay way for them to get into it, which is the... People have watched the episode, obviously, if they're listening to this. The Scorpius visions.
Yeah.
Or Harvey, as we learn.
In the second episode, yeah.
Yes. So John Crichton in this episode, while the primary action is happening, is seeing visions of Scorpius, who's sort of taunting him, making him feel bad. And he keeps sort of trying to interact with that Scorpius, and people are like, you're not okay. Nothing's there. You're talking to yourself. Which is a really easy, premise in a show like this. The main character is a little nutso, which is kind of lazy, but the way that they bring it back and they build it is worthwhile, I think. So the episode starts, and John's playing weird chess, which comes back later, so that's why I mention it. And he's mumbling to himself. Aaron questions what he's doing, and that's when he sees his first Scorpius vision. And we realize that the food on the ship, and this is a really cool thing for them to address, which is that they have plenty of food on the ship, but they don't know how to preserve it. So they don't have refrigeration. So a lot of their food is going to go bad because it's going to get parasites. So they need to buy something that will get rid of parasites. So Chiana, I think, goes to
Dargo.
Chiana and Dargo, everyone's favorite pairing, except mine, go to a commerce planet nearby, and they buy a thingy, an alien that I can't remember the name of. It's like it's like the like face of this episode.
Vork,
I think you're right, or like a Vord or something.
Yeah.
It's basically, it looks like, what did I describe it as? The thing from that 80s movie?
Oh.
Mac and Me.
Yeah, the clip that Paul Rudd brings to...
Every episode of Conan that he's on? From Mac and Me. It looks like that. It actually looks, like, surprisingly similar to that, to the point where it's like, that's probably...
It looks like the same prop.
Yeah. And it's this cute little, like, goblin-looking thing that's supposed to eat parasites. So it's going around the ship, and it's supposed to start doing this work, but it's not doing the right thing. And at the same time, and this is why the episode felt kind of confusing, some people on the ship are seeing something evil chasing them around, which is like the most Farscape-ass premise ever.
Yeah. There's a lot of chances for John Crichton to run around the corners of the Moya hallways.
Yeah.
And, like, be up against the wall a little bit.
Yeah, and be like, I'm taking cover, and I'm here to fight. But it's just, I'm trying to remember what... Oh, it is the Vork, you're right. They're searching for the Vork because it kind of runs away, and it's like, I'm going to go look for the parasite. And so it's chasing the parasite, they're chasing it. There's a lot of running around and being chased in this episode. So it's a lot of moving parts. And essentially there isn't a lot that like happens other than that for a lot of the episode. They just get chased, and the actual parasite starts to take some of them and like capture them and wound them. So it wounds Dargo, and they do the like, is Dargo gonna die if we don't get the medicine? It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? Trying to like make this weird tension of like Dargo's life is in the balance, and it's from a parasite that we're gonna get the antidote from in like 10 minutes from now. And so they're developing the relationship between Aaron and the Vork a lot. She's like kind of cute, and Zahn is taking care of Dargo. Lots of parts. Oh, there is Aaron carries the Vork on her back, which is a pretty cute scene.
Yeah.
And then basically, a bunch of people get taken over by the parasite, and then some of them start getting replaced, which leads to the most disturbing image of the entire episode.
Which I didn't see.
Which you didn't see, because at this point, John was asleep. So basically, you saw the like rising action, and then you didn't see any of the like payoff.
I had you describe the rest of the episode to me after I woke up, and it sounded like a really cool episode of Farscape.
Yeah.
Just that part.
But it took so long to get there. That was like, this is like the last 20 minutes or something, where Rygel gets taken over by the parasite, and we see it. And, like, someone can email in or whatever and correct me if I'm getting the, like, parts of the episode wrong, but he gets taken over by the parasite, and we see this scene where it's, like, trying to take over his body, and it involves basically using the like, a top-down shot of the Rygel puppet with, like, bugs just, like, flying out of his eyes. Just, like, spewing out of his eyes. It's super gross, and it makes the Rygel puppet look really... It looks more real when, like, bad stuff is happening to it, because you usually just see it get hit or something.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing. I don't know. I have no idea how they did that with the actual puppet, which is kind of cool. So at this point, it's, like, replacing some of them, and then it's, like, it becomes Rygel and tries to jump on Zahn, which doesn't work out. And then finally, the whole, like, point of the episode is that the Vork and the parasite are, like, linked somehow. So the Vork, like, takes in the parasite, and he's like, well, I've done the one thing I'm designed to do. I can't live anymore, because now I have the thing in me. And the only way for me to get rid of it is to die. So, sorry guys, I'm out of here. And it's like this really sad scene where the Vork is dying on Aaron's son's, like, chest. And it says, like, because they give it, when they're trying to understand, like, hey, what's your situation? They give it translator microbes.
Yeah.
Which we pointed out, like, oh, cool, that's an interesting thing. But all that led to was Aaron being like, we need to kill it, or something. And he's like, no, mommy, please. And she's like, okay, maybe I'll fall in love with this cute little alien thing. So at this point, the translator microbes allow them to hear it say, like, I've done my job, thank you, I love all of you, or something really sentimental like that.
Yeah.
And so it dies with the parasite, everyone gets better, and, well, everybody seems to be getting better. Zahn makes the toxin, but we get to this is going by so fast, I feel like
No, good.
But that's good. The thing, right?
Yeah.
So the final scene of the episode, again, with the, like, main action is done, here's our big, like, climax thing. John is still seeing visions. They never took care of that.
Yeah.
And he's playing chess by himself again. And you're like, that's weird. Aaron comes up to him and she says, hey, John, what was up with you shooting near me earlier? And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. I saw Scorpius on the ship. She's like, okay, cool. Scorpius is not on the ship. What are you doing? He's like, I think I got problems. And it's like this very cool moment of vulnerability for John. And she's like, okay, if you have problems, you talk to me, because that's how we work. That's how friends work. And he's like, yeah, I'll do exactly what you've done for us all the time, which is when you have problems, you bottle it up and don't tell anyone. She's like, okay, you're going to be a dick about it? I'm out of here. Sorry, I tried to help. And he kind of is on his own, and we're like, oh, he's probably okay. And then the camera kind of pans, and we reveal that he is technically playing chess with his mental image of Scorpius.
Yay.
And they have like a good job, John, you got rid of her kind of moment. And that's the end of the episode. We're
Wow.
like, oh my god. Golly gee.
Shining.
It is kind of... Yeah, it's just, that's the thing. Like, a lot of this episode is just like a tension builder and then like rise and fall.
Yeah, so I have a few stray thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they have chess?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they had that other game, remember? Rygel, like,
but it wasn't chess,
You're right,
It was
yeah.
like a space game.
Yeah, it was like Space Backgammon or something.
Inconsistent. Whatever.
They can have multiple games.
Maybe he built this chess set.
Mm-hmm.
Possible.
It's made out of like weird
That's my
glass.
first thing. Second thing, they always mention commerce planets.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got this thing in a commerce planet. And I always think that I would prefer to see them do an episode on a commerce planet.
They've done that, though.
They've been there for like brief moments. But I can't think of a one-off Farscape episode on a planet.
Yeah.
That I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But whenever on the ship and they mention a planet, I always kind of wish that they were there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I want out of episodes of Farscape, if I want them on the ship or on a planet.
Yeah. I kind of universally prefer the on-the-planet episodes, because I like seeing weird aliens and I love the cultures of those places.
Yeah, but name off the top of your head one really good on the planet episode. Besides
The plantation one. Where everyone was like
one?
orange and there was the really cool girl thing.
It wasn't a great episode.
It was cool.
Thank God it's Friday again.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Nice pull.
Thank you.
Yeah, I find them fascinating, even if they're not always great episodes.
Yeah.
Like there was the one. This is really going to be what Farscape is for me already. We're barely 2 seasons in, and I'm already like the episode where there's like a mining planet and there's like a mining operation and there's a giant monster.
Oh, that episode sucked. Remember how much it sucked?
But it's memorable. What about Jeremiah Crichton? Uh-oh, wait a minute. Did we just find out that all... So then what are the good episodes of Farscape? If the ones on the ship are kind of dull, usually, not always, and if the ones on the planet are stupid, but not always, then what are the universally good episodes of Farscape?
Well, I don't know, because...
In your opinion?
I think they have to be episodes that have something more to them. I think the episodes that bother me the most are the episodes that could have been on any other ship show. And that's what this felt like.
Yeah, totally.
At least planet episodes, Farscape is going to create an alien culture that another show is not
never
going
to.
It's
very unique.
But this is like, there's a parasite on the ship, and oh no, and blah, 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 blah. And even like, towards the end of season 1, they had that episode where there was like the virus, and you didn't like it because it was just John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes.
That was like a good ship episode, but again, it had that...
This could have been on
could have been any sci-fi show on a ship. But good ship episodes are like, I don't know, Crackers Don't Matter. Sure. That's a fun one. Or The Way We Weren't.
Yep.
But it's got flashbacks going on.
Flashbacks. New term. Is The Way We Weren't the one with all the colors?
All the colors?
Remember there's like 3 different ships?
No. The Way We Weren't is the pilot one. The pilot's origin story.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. But yeah, the split into the look through the looking glass.
Yeah.
Is the one you're
oh my god, you with the names, dude. Crushing it.
And that one's, because it splits it up and makes it weird and totally Farscape.
Yeah. It's unique.
So I don't know. I guess that's what I want. It's just an episode that feels like a Farscape episode. And this episode did not.
It felt like it could have been anything else.
It could have just been any other show.
I'm trying to look through the plot and see if we missed anything that's like interesting.
Yeah,
really
so
isn't.
I'm a little confused about this plot. So the parasite of the food going bad is a bipedal parasite?
No, I think it like evolved into that or something.
Okay. Because I thought
it also
at one point there was confusion, like, is the Vork two things?
That's why Aaron was like, we should just jettison it out of the ship and take care of this.
Yeah.
But it's also working. I watched the whole episode and I don't know the answer to this. That's the problem.
Okay.
Is that a lot of this episode is people being like, is it? It's not. Oh, it is. And so you're like not sure what is accurate at any point.
Okay.
But the point is that the whole reason that they do that whole contrivance of like the parasite versus the Vork is so that the Vork has to kill itself for the parasite to leave their ship.
Yeah.
It has to accomplish its duty.
Okay.
Which is the whole...
Yeah, I just never grasped the central plot line of this episode.
Yeah. Ooh, tickling my feet.
Sorry.
No, I like it. Please do more.
Great. Let's touch heads again. That
good
one
stuff.
didn't hurt as much.
Yeah, I tried to go slow.
Great.
Good show.
The one thing that I appreciated, being the translator microbes man, is they did something which, now knowing that this person is the person who wrote The Way We Weren't, makes a lot of sense. They did kind of the complementary concept to the translator microbe concept in The Way We Weren't, where, like, Pilot was given the microbes and he had to simplify his sentences for people to understand them.
Yeah.
Right? Because his native language communicates
about.
Too many ideas.
Yeah.
But the Vork is a being that thinks too simply for its ideas to be expressed in something as complex as words.
As English, at least. Yeah.
So it's speaking gibberish, and then Pilot can somewhat intuit what it means emotionally and conceptually, and can communicate that.
So he'll say, for example, like, oh, it just said love, compassion, or something.
Yeah, or like friend die, why? Or something like that.
Which that also just ends up leading to the scene where it's like, what did he just say? And it's like, you are, or danger you. You're like, okay, tension, here we go.
Which is, I think that's a cool device.
Yeah.
It was lost, again, amid a pretty forgettable episode.
Uh-huh. Forgetful episode.
But yeah, just, I love when they play with that.
Yeah.
The rules of the universe in that way. Because it's really rewarding to fans who remember that those exist.
Yeah, and when we spoke about this episode, like reading the Netflix summary, but last episode, we were like, oh, that sounds like it could be either really fun or really mediocre, and it leaned on the second one much more. Do you want to read the background information?
I do want to read the background information.
Grazie.
I'm going to open it up right now.
I've been learning Italian since we last recorded an episode.
Wow, the tandoori chicken reference came from Ben Browder's initial reaction to the creature on set.
Which, that just means that, like, every time Ben Browder says a clever line, it's not written. The writers can't write for Ben Browder. He writes for himself, which is great. He's a good actor.
Yeah. Claudia Black had the idea to put the Vork on Aaron's back, inspired by Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back.
A lot of inspirations on this episode.
Yeah. Much of the dialogue between Aaron and Crichton was ad-libbed in rehearsal.
No, it's not surprising.
Great. The scurrying bugs, was inspired by the Mummy. And they were raisins with legs attached.
That's okay. That's how they did it then.
Right.
Fun. You're going to get to a fun piece of trivia in a second.
Originally, the larger creature was the one that was supposed to die.
This is why some of that stuff is confusing, is because they didn't know what they were doing until the last minute.
Yeah, so I guess there was some re-scripting on this episode, which makes sense. Yeah. Crichton is referencing Caddyshack when he's
playing golf.
Yeah.
Sure,
why not? This, like, kind of weird, unnecessary trivia piece. Ben Browder felt that ball, the spiky little ball, was the ball that Scorpius had in Family Ties. But David Kemper was like, no.
Coincidence?
It's not.
Or it's not.
It's not that ball.
Yeah. I think John Crichton is the most tinfoil hat person. Or Ben Browder is the most tinfoil hat of this show.
The soundtrack for this episode is inspired by the Gremlins score, which you can hear. There's little vignettes and features.
As I was listening to it, I was like, this is really uncharacteristic of this show. This, like, Danny Elfman-esque, like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And you're like, oh, I guess it's Gremlins. That's cool. Good on you.
Let's see. Looks like the final scene between John and Aaron was initially scripted to be in the first act and between Crichton and Zahn.
Oh, that actually would have made more sense.
You think so?
Because Aaron and John do actually share a lot of their personal information with each other.
That's true.
So for him to be like, oh, you hide stuff from us, it makes, because I think he likes Aaron more than he likes Zahn. So that would have made a little bit more sense, but I think it works both ways.
Ben Browder enjoyed this episode and felt that it laid out a number of clues to the rest of the season. So I guess that's true. He's saying that he likes that season 2 has a long, layered arc, and you can go back and look for clues.
I wish it always had that. I wish the whole show was like that.
Having a long layered arc?
Yeah.
Is it not?
Well, I want more of it. I want more season-long arcs that build on each other.
I think we're gonna...
In
season 3 and 4, we'll probably get even more there.
Totally. Oh, man. People get... realizing that we're 3/4 of the way done with season 2, ish. And people keep saying season 3 is the perfect season. I get all tingly inside thinking about it. Was that the background info?
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, John.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the second episode?
I really do.
But do you want to do it right after this quick break?
Yeah.
Hi, ScapeChatz listener. It's me, Alan. Pilot's letting me rent out some studio time in Moya's recording booth today, so I'm here ready to open up the Moyabag and read some feedback. As always, messages can be beamed up to us on the ship via email, which is scapechatz@gmail.com, on Twitter, @ScapeChatz, or the Reddit threads for each episode, which can be found, as always, at reddit.com/r/Farscape. First up is some tweets from usual commenter, who always sends us these wonderful memos about the episodes. Crichton, they say we should rename the trilogy, the Look at the Princess trilogy. Crichton Sleeps Around, Part 1, Pining, Whining, and Francesca. Part 2, it's about politics, so drunk acting is essential. And Part 3, we need to have as many girlfriends as possible in this episode. And yeah, so they also pointed out how all the children in this trilogy are Ben Browder and Francesca Buller's kids, which is interesting because of just like the fun. It makes a lot more sense how parental Crichton is with the like supposed son of his and the princess, because that was actually his child. So that I thought that was cute. And we also got a comment from longtime listener Angela Scrangela, who says, "My name is Angela. Hey, hello." And also they said Magellan's impression of Pilot is dead on / uncanny. So thank you, Angela. On Reddit, we saw a great discussion between Blue Blaze Spear and Hyper Green Frog on John getting all the fun sex and romance stuff in this episode, and how that's kind of surprising in such a progressive show to still have the sort of bro guy just be the one that gets all the sex. And it could have been interesting if they flipped it in a way, but I'm just going to read the last comment from this thread because it's really good, and I feel like it says a lot about things. This is from Blue Blaze Spear. "There's always a conversation to be had there, and a good portion of it lives in the subjective world of opinion. It can be equally valid to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll happily engage in any conversation where it's nobody's goal to be petty or confrontational. In the bigger scheme, I do think that Farscape does handle sex and adult relationships in an interesting and or positive way. I just don't think this trilogy is the best example of it. But I do think there are plenty of other things in Look at the Princess worth enjoying." And not only do I think that's a good encapsulation of just like the discussion, but also I wish every internet argument discussion could end that way and just have people be like, it's fine, we can disagree. And I think it's in part because the Farscape community is very mature, partly due to the fact that we're discussing an almost 2-decade-old show. But also, it's a show about communication, as we talk about on ScapeChatz a lot, and the fact that the fan base also discusses it in a very, at least in our corner of the fan base, a very level-headed and sort of like even keel way. And I like that there hasn't been a lot of arguing from the little bits here and there that I do pick up in the subreddit, which is still pretty active, especially lately. I don't know. I guess the Farscape community just really likes to talk about the show, and there isn't anywhere else there aren't many places other than Reddit to like talk about it actively with other people, I guess. My thoughts on this episode personally, not a huge fan, just because this was a live episode, which I usually enjoy recording, but in post-production they can get a little messy. Like you can hear this one sounds real rough, because we were recording at my house where there's terrible acoustics, like real bad acoustics, and also I was just like interrupting Magellan a lot, as I always do when we do live episodes, and we went really short because Beware of Dog is like the dullest episode in the whole world, and nothing happens in it, and Magellan slept through half of it, so like it's just not a fun episode to talk about. Won't Get Fooled Again is a very fun discussion, I will admit that, and a very fun episode to have watched, but even that one, it's like we had a lot to say about how funny and weird it was, but this is probably the shortest ScapeChatz episode ever, which is fine. I just noticed that and I was like, I guess I could try and pick out why that is, but it's more just like when we do live episodes, we don't have to wait for syncing audio together or breaks or anything like that. We just kind of like talk about it and get right through it, which is good for some people, and you know, some people like that more than the other stuff, where we do this over Skype. So yeah, I personally love the ScapeChatz episodes where we dig into like thematic stuff and trying to pull apart all the different threads and see where they're going and where they've been. And I feel like this episode was a lot of like reading the summary and laughing about it, which again, you know, super fun to record. And all the people who are listening have hopefully watched the episodes, so it's not like we need to drill down on these summaries because it's like we've seen it, we don't need that. But you know, you have episodes that are like this, you have episodes that are like that. That's the mix-up. What else did I want to talk to y'all about? Magellan still does the Stanford Improv Radio Hour, which is now on iTunes. It's a very funny improv podcast that he does with some friends. I think that has a new episode coming up soon. And I'm hoping that we don't end up having to take a week off because we're catching up on the episodes that we backlogged, but it's up in the air at this point. I think I can't predict it, you know. That is it, though. I think that'll do it for the Moyabag. Pilot is giving me the you gotta go signal, so I think they need their recording booth for some silly thing. I'll talk to y'all next week. Thank you for listening to ScapeChatz, and enjoy the discussion of Won't Get Fooled Again.
We're back with ScapeChatz, episode 19. Next up, for discussion, we're doing season 2, episode 15, Won't Get Fooled Again, which was written by Richard Manning, directed by Rowan Woods, and it aired a week later, August 18th, 2000, in the United States. Oh boy, this episode. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness gracious, Aloysius. This is a really fun palate cleanser after the last one.
For sure.
For sharks. And we should just talk about how we watched this. We didn't watch this one in person, we watched this one over Skype last night.
Yeah.
Live, technically.
With one another, yeah.
Yes. So that was a cool experience. What did you think of Won't Get Fooled Again?
I think the word fun sums it up pretty well. There's a lot of fan service in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the driving force of it.
Uh-huh.
But there's also some really important plot development, specifically with regards to the Scorpius visions.
Yeah.
That while this episode can be seen as light and fun and is probably going to be remembered for the goofier moments, there's a lot of darkness and terror to it, especially to the way that it ends, which I think is great. And presumably episodes to follow are going to pick up on that and run with it.
The thing with this episode is that it is, like, it's very funny, like you said, and it has these moments you're like, oh, like, that's funny, but in a way that makes me think a lot about these characters in a way I didn't before. And I feel like that sums up Farscape in a way, is it'll make you laugh, and it'll make you cry, but it'll also make you think about things you didn't know you wanted to think about. You didn't even know those were things it was going to go into. Like, so this whole episode takes place primarily in John Crichton's mind.
Yeah.
While he's being tortured by a Scaran. And I'm trying to get the plot order right. So basically, on the like broad spectrum, what is happening in this episode is they're on a commerce planet. Crichton gets captured by some Scarans.
Yeah, so what we see...
Right. This isn't how it happens in order. This is how we learn it over time.
Yeah, so eventually we learn that he was abducted by a Scaran who is torturing him to try to figure out why Scorpius wants him.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know about the wormhole information implanted in his brain by the little Men in Black alien guys.
Yeah, I missed that.
From A Human Reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And Scorpius doesn't want them to know why he wants John Crichton. Because he wants to get the jump on the Scarans, presumably. So the Scarans kidnap him, and their method of torture is to just kind of like excite your mind and create crazy scenarios to trick you, either to break you or to trick you into confiding in somebody in this vision the information that they want to know.
Right.
So what we see beginning of the episode, John Crichton is on Earth. He goes through the Farscape mission, and instead of succeeding and shooting him through a wormhole, he fails and crashes, and he wakes up in the hospital.
Yes.
His dad's there. DK's there.
Remember DK, who looks like Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Yeah, a really pretty face.
real cutie.
And everything's kind of normal. And his doctor is... She looks like Aaron's son.
That's very true.
Yeah.
One might say she even is.
But she's not. It's...
oh, yeah. What is the name?
Patina Fairchild?
Bettina Fairchild, yeah.
Bettina Fairchild.
Yeah.
So John thinks that this is a human reaction again.
Yeah, I love that. That, like, with a human reaction, everything was new to him, and he was confused until he learned. In this one, he's like, fuck, I got this. You're all, that's like his whole arc through this episode is he's positive that none of this is real. He can fuck with everyone as much as he wants. And that led to me thinking that it was going to be some weird twist of like, this is totally real.
Yeah, but that would be the worst.
Yeah, because he kind of almost kills Rygel. Like, he does a lot of ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
And that becomes the propelling element of the episode is him kind of total recalling his way around Earth. Yeah. Being like, what are the boundaries of this weird simulation I found myself in?
It's kind of misleading. I don't know. I didn't know what was going to satisfy me as a viewer of this plot, because I knew right away that it was fake.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way that there's somebody that looks just like Aaron, who's his doctor, or that he's on Earth. That's not real. Why would they do that?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So I knew, and John Crichton knew, that this was not true. And I would not have been satisfied if the twist was, it is real.
Yeah.
That would have been stupid. And I was trying to figure out who is inducing this vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't think of a satisfying answer.
Yeah.
And I don't think the answer we got was that satisfying, but I think the Scorpius revelation is what makes this episode work and what makes it feel like it has an ending.
Because if you really pull apart the Scarron's plot, it's like way too circuitous. Like, we're going to torture you so you live through your own brain so that you talk to someone in your brain to tell us the information.
Yeah.
You could have just said, oh, they plucked the information from his brain. That's not that hard but that's not interesting.
Right.
That's where the episode comes from. And it really is fan service. Like, he leaves the doctor and his father, it's fun to see his father and his weird swoopy hair again, and DK are like, okay, the Farscape project went bad. We need money, and we need to refigure out how this is going to work out. You need to go see a shrink. So he goes to a shrink, and it is... Let's get a name. Well, we don't know I can't remember the name. It's a doctor.
Yeah, basically, we meet the cast of Moya.
Right, in order... Yeah, in order, this episode is like, hey, he's going to have to meet this person, but it's really a character from the show.
Yeah.
So he meets Zahn as his shrink first.
And that's a great moment in this episode, because you are always on the same page with John Crichton. There's never a moment where you're like, this is so fake, and John thinks it's real.
Yeah, he just knows it's fake every time.
Yeah. And you see Aaron, and you're like, this is fake, but a human could look like Aaron's son, and that's what John Crichton's thinking.
And then he sees Zahn in like a tuxedo, like a crisp suit.
Yeah.
And you're like, and she's like, hi, I'm Dr. Gene Kaminsky. And you're like,
okay.
All right.
And he's like, you're blue. And she's like, why do you care about race?
So, you weirdo.
And the viewers are thinking, okay, we're joking around. Great.
She says, I do have a green card, which is a good line.
Yeah. So we see Zahn. She's the psychiatrist trying to talk him through, well, why do you think you're not in a real world? Why do you think you don't have allies? That kind of thing. Then he leaves that office.
He goes to meet up with DK.
They start talking about the hot shot new astronaut on the scene who drives up in his cool sports car.
And it's Gary Rygel.
Yeah, Gary Rygel. The guy with the tentacles.
Oh my god. That was the moment where I was like, this is a fun... Because, okay, Aaron in it kind of progresses in a fun way, too. That's what I like about this episode. Aaron in the doctor's outfit's like, oh, that's kind of hot, whatever. It's Aaron. Zahn in a suit is like, that's pretty funny. Okay. Dargo in like a sweater vest and like khakis and like dress shoes is the weirdest, best, and like golf gloves is the best image this show has given me so far.
Yeah.
It's so funny because the Dargo head is really like thick. So it's like a guy with a gigantic head but like a tiny human body. Because Anthony Simcoe is not a big guy.
He's tall though.
He is tall, but he's not wide the way that like Dargo is supposed to kind of be. And he's got those same hands that we obsess over so much. Even when they're in gloves, it's still weird. And he's like, hey guys, what's up? He even gets a different accent. He goes like full American accent.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how you doing? And then he goes, John questions his tentacles, which DK calls a lifestyle choice. But says he's also a jerk. And then he says, let's get a beer sometime. And so we get to get the wonderful scene of John and Gary Rygel in the bar having a beverage together.
Yep. And then this episode just keeps slowly turning the dial as it goes.
Because then we see John and, John sees Scorpius playing drums.
Yeah. And
you're like, that's weird.
And Pilot also playing some kind of drums.
Pilot's installed. Pilot's installed, but now he's got like a Rastafarian outfit, or like a Jamaican outfit, and he's playing music. And John's like, this is not cool at all. Except he goes to the bar to get drinks. There's another Scorpius. So now he's seeing a crack in the Matrix. He's like, okay, it's not just we're replacing everybody from the show and like we're making them humans. Mm-hmm. We're seeing Scorpius over and over again. He's important. And he doesn't look weird. His name is Scorpius, and he's got his same sexy bondage outfit on, and he's being super chill. Then John freaks out. Falls off. Oh, and then he falls over a table because I think Scorpius gives him like a weird drink or something. So then he wakes up and something happens. He falls down. He's in the doctor's office again. Mm-hmm. Doctor's office again. Now the simulation starts to break even more.
Yeah. So I think this is the moment where John starts to hypothesize who's doing this.
Yeah.
Which is another moment where I was trying to think of who could this be, and made me realize that up to this point, Farscape has not had very strong villains in the show. Because who does he think of? He's like, oh, maybe it's Maldus.
Yeah, he just like lists off people who were villains, and you're like, they all suck.
Maybe it's the Delvians from like last season.
Yeah.
No. Maybe it's whoever. He's just like naming people that are nothing. And then maybe it's Scorpius, but that would have been not very satisfying if it was Scorpius doing this. And then Scorpius shows up and says that he's not, which, adds an interesting wrinkle. So we're back in the doctor's office.
And he gets checked out again. He's like, this is weird. Why am I alive? Okay. He goes outside, and again, they use DK as the sort of push for the whole plot. It's like, he goes outside, and DK's there. Mm-hmm. And DK takes him, too, and says, hey, yo, you and me and your dad need to go meet this guy, Douglas Logan. He's a big shot. He's a CEO. Mm-hmm. He's going to get us the money to continue the Farscape project. Let's go to his office. Yeah. And you immediately guessed it. You were like, it's Rygel. Yeah, please be Rygel. Gotta be Rygel. Chair turns. Hey, guys, it's Rygel. And he's in a suit. and he's here to wheel and deal.
He's not only in a suit, he has, like, the coat over his shoulders kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like a cigar. Yeah.
And then John takes John has fun in that scene. Shout out to Ben Browder. Takes the cigar from him, starts smoking it, spins his chair, starts like playing with Rygel, and he's like, hey, how you doing? Puts his feet up, and they're like, this is very serious. We need money. And he's like, fuck this guy. I don't need anything. Jack and DK start to argue outside when Logan returns in a golf cart. Yeah, so he like freaks out and then leaves because he's being insubordinate, and they're like, get out of here. And then Logan meets up with him outside, Rygel, and he's like, all right, I can do whatever I want. And just picks him up and just starts, like, spinning him around like Zangief style and tries to... he throws him off a fucking staircase. Yeah. That's not cool. Is this the second time on the show that John has killed someone by knocking him off a staircase? Is that this show?
I don't know.
What am I thinking of?
Community?
I'm totally thinking of Community. Whoa, how did you pick up on that? Nice.
The parking garages looked very similar.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Wow, my brain just smushed those together. He throws him off. DK's like, well, you just ruined everything. He might be dead. He goes back to the bar, and there's Chiana. Chiana's just herself. She doesn't even get a name, I don't think.
She's just Jessica. She's just a sexy lady.
It's Jessica.
She and Aaron, Aaron is weirdly the doctor and a sexy lady.
Yeah. At first, I thought the implication was like, she's a doctor, but in her off hours, she's like super wild, like a party girl.
I mean, that is what the implication is.
And so her and Chiana are like making out, and Darga's there, and he's making out with everyone. And then John's like, all right, I can break this. I can do whatever I want. Let's just hang out. Let's just go on a road trip. And it's like funny for 2 seconds, and then it gets really sad, where he's like, I can do anything. I can kill all of us. They're driving in this like red convertible, and they're all like, oh, I love the moment where, I'm sorry for going a little slow on this episode, but like they're all talking, and he's like saying like, life means nothing. I'm useless here. None of this is real. And they're all like, yeah, dude, yeah, you're saying what we're all thinking. And you're like, this is so tragic. And then Scorpius appears on top of the like windshield. Uh-huh. He's like, hey, you're doing bad. Don't die in here. This is really bad. You need to be careful who you talk to. He's like, fuck you. Drives into a truck.
Yep.
Car accident. Cut to back in the hospital.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Erin's got big curlers in her hair.
Yeah, I thought I wanted it to devolve faster, but it does at this point. It's spinning down faster and faster. And at this point, I kind of lost the plot. It's just a lot of him like...
Well, it starts to get crazier. He runs into Crace at a certain point.
Yeah, who's a cop.
He's a cool cop.
At first, he's just a cop. Yeah. He's just a cop. And he's like, he has that whole line about like, do you understand all of the Miranda rights that I just spoke to you? And John's like, nope. And he's like, damn it, I can't arrest you. Yeah. Which is cool. And then, how does he get knocked out again? Because he gets knocked out again.
I don't remember. He does something.
Scorpius is in the bar.
Somebody hits him, maybe.
Yep. Laid back drummer. Scorpius gets strong. Oh, and then his mother shows up.
Oh, that's
She's where the episode gets kind of weird.
Yeah.
She's in her nightgown at first. And the first time he sees her, she's normal. Oh, no, that was when she was like, oh, honey, I'm worried about you. And he's like, that's fucked up that you guys brought my mom back. She's dead.
She's dead.
Fuck you guys.
Then he's in the bar later, and
she's like super sick and almost dying.
Yeah.
And that's like really sad. Mm-hmm. But we don't know enough about his mom to we don't know their attachment for that, other than it's his mom. He finds Crace. John beats him up, takes his gun. Returns to Logan's office and finds that was the scene where he finds everyone, like, they're all, like, posing, basically. And then he looks behind them, and there's a picture of them all posing the same way. That's probably intentionally weird.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Definitely.
And then he's like, okay, I can do whatever I want. And he starts shooting them. A bullet goes right through him, passes through them, shoots the glass. They're all like, well, you are unwell. Sorry. He, Christ, puppy in hand, hands out his charges. When did Christ get a dog? He did get a dog.
He comes back into the hospital room.
Oh, and that's like his... Why does he have a dog, though?
He just has a dog.
Can we really dig in on this dog, though?
Well, he calls it Toto.
That's the important part.
Joke.
And then I said something about the blessed rains down in Africa. And then, basically, Scorpius, before everything goes nuts, explains what's going on. He says everything that we just said, which is, you got captured, blah, blah, blah. I'm a mental image projected. And he like, says it, basically. He
tells him, I implanted a chip in your brain to get the wormhole information out, however long it takes. I'm a mental clone of Scorpius.
Which Sean from now on calls Harvey.
It's a cool idea.
That is.
And Scorpius also reveals a contextualizing element of how he knows when to show up, which is the Scaran is producing a lot of body heat.
Yeah, he's sweating.
So when John is sweating, it means the Scaran is nearby and influencing what's going on.
Oh.
And when he cools off, it means that he's off planning what to do next.
And the Scaran comes back, and then this is the part where just everything goes nuts. We just start getting really rapid, like John wakes up, everyone's crazy, but Christ has high heels. It's like complete absurdism. You can't even describe it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to watch.
There's like sexy dancing.
Yeah.
There's like some POV stuff. There's Rygel in like leather gimp
Oh yeah, there's that scene where he's on the hospital bed, and then everyone tries to like have sex with him, and they're like, "How about you? I know you thought about this before." He's like, I'm not going to say I didn't, or something like that. He's like, no, I didn't. And then,
there's a weird scene where his mom tries to come on to him and stuff. That's cool.
That was the part where I was like, is this just his mental thoughts? Because if so, he's got some issues. But I think it's also just a scare and, like, amplifying things.
Yeah, it's just taking every little thing and dialing it up to 11. There's a great scene where he and Dargo are in a car on, like, Makeout Point.
Yep,
and Dargo's like, I want to do the
Lux and bonding ritual.
Well, we need my Qualta blade, and I let it.
That's my favorite scene of the episode.
It's just like somebody wrote a joke parody sketch of Farscape.
I think at this point they knew that the most popular fanfiction pairing was John and Dargo.
Yeah, probably.
They're like, let's just do that. You know, somebody's written an extended scene of that where it goes somewhere.
Yeah, then the Scaran's last sort of Hail Mary move is to create a character that seems like the real Aaron's son, there to save John, and she kind of makes everything go away, and then it's like, John, I found you, I'm here to save you, but why is Scorpius looking for you, or something like that. And then John realizes that this is another fake projection created by the Scarans, trying to get information out of him. So then it goes back to the rave dance thing, and eventually it all overheats, and it seems that John has died.
Yeah, it says your neural activity has stopped.
Yeah.
So we're now in the real world.
Yeah.
And the Scaran, we get to see the Scaran briefly, which looked kind of awesome. It was very darkly lit, which is smart, because if your puppet is not great, then you darkly light it so that you can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, well, John's dead. That's
That sucks.
That's not good
That's
at
not
all.
what I wanted to do.
John's not dead. He just is dumb, so he can turn his brain off.
Well, the Scorpius clone.
Oh, is that what that was?
Harvey turned his brain off.
Oh, that's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice of him.
So then John sets his pistol to
Overload
because Scorpius told him that shots alone can't pierce the Scaran skin.
Yeah.
Then he shoves it down the dude's throat and
blows him up, which is kind of cool, kind of action movie-ish.
And then, in a last final stroke of terror, Harvey reveals that he can make John forget things. So John's like, "You're a clone, a Scorpius clone. I'm going to get that chip out of my brain." He's like, "What chip?" "You know, the chip." "What chip? What are you talking about?" I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Kind of does the, like, Men in Black.
Yeah, he can wipe him. So he basically wipes the whole episode out of John's head.
Yeah.
Just bananas.
Super bananas.
And the episode ends with Scorpius being like, "I'm always in there, man.
Bye."
Bye." And then that's a solid fade to credits. We don't put a lot of good solid fades to credits in the show.
And they started ramping up the credits music
before it ended, while they were still talking.
And then it hit the executive producer credit right at the start of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get on that.
The best credit edit that we've seen.
For sure.
For the whole series.
So yeah, fun episode.
Yeah.
Let's do background information.
Let's do it.
Let's crush it. Like Wesley.
Crichton is the only main character to make a real appearance in this episode.
I guess.
Like real.
Right, as in he's the only person who exists. And the Scaran.
The title for this episode is a reference to the Who song, of course, and also it's a reference to how he won't get fooled again the way he was fooled in A Human Reaction. That's why he entered that lady's bathroom.
Oh, like in the other episode where he couldn't see what was in the lady's bathroom, so he went in there to break the simulation?
Yeah.
Anthony Cinco liked this episode because he got to be funny.
Yep.
Ben Browder felt this was a pivotal episode of the season. Chapter 14, John Goes Insane. I should stop reading. This is your job. Go ahead. I'm going to still look at them, but go ahead.
Apparently there were references to Crichton's mother in scripts in the first season, but Ben Browder got rid of them because he thought that they weren't appropriate.
I think that might have to do with the mom in the dress stuff, where he's like, I don't think John feels that way. Or he just doesn't want to bring up the mom.
That seems more likely.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would make mom and dress references in any episodes.
Yeah. The car stuff is a green screen.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, totally.
Claudia Black made the joke that the set was never as popular as when she, Gigi Edgley, and Virginia Hay were dressed in leather gear.
Oh, man.
In the fetish shops. The shots focusing down Crichton's body were filmed by Ben Browder himself.
I want to see that where he's like, "Guys, give me the camera." Would I press the red button?
Here, let's do this.
All right. Tony, you here? You listening?
Let's see.
I would love to see that.
A little interesting inconsistency with how Rygel smokes. He was seen smoking from his ear.
Yeah, he was.
Flax, but then Rowan Woods was like, let's do the normal way for this little made-up thing.
Well, you can say because it's maybe Crichton forgot. So the thing in his head is that, he just didn't know that.
Yeah. Rockney O'Bannon considers this the poster child episode for the series, which I would agree with.
Yeah.
I think it displays the full range of what this show does pretty well.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Tongue rolls.
O'Bannon quotes. I'm skipping some of these.
Oh, O'Bannon said this is the poster child episode. Okay.
Yeah.
The cast and director embrace the weirdness, pulsing the show. Passionate discussion. They liked making this episode.
Yeah.
That's really what all of these say. 2 pieces of background music unique to this episode appear as piano chords throughout this episode. What? Oh, that's Yankee Doodle and Hush Little Baby. Just cool little...
Yeah, just musical motifs.
Yeah. That's cool. They do that stuff a lot. Crazy. If you really listen to it, I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the music of Farscape. Do you think this is a good episode to show someone Farscape for the first time?
No way.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because it won't make any sense.
Yeah. No.
None of the fan service will make any sense.
Right.
That's what I was saying. It's got the comedy. It nails the comedy of this show. You're like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. Weird sci-fi. But none of the outside stuff will make sense. And none of the fan fiction will resonate. You'll be like, everyone's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Quite the opposite. If you watched another episode after this, you'd be like, well, I want that again.
Yeah.
But, This is a lovely episode that I would watch again just for funsies sometime.
For sure.
It's a party. This has been nice. I'm sitting on the floor, crisscrossed, and my butt hurts from sitting on a flat floor. And that's just a little bit of behind the scenes for you, the viewer. Hey, we're both loading it up. We're going to load up the Netflix summaries of the show so that we can talk to you about next week's episodes. So we're watching 2 more. Mine loaded faster than you.
Shit.
Damn it. Oh, okay, so here we go. Go ahead.
Yours is loaded, is it not?
Yes, sir.
So go for it.
Oh, am I doing one? You want to do the other?
Sure.
Okay. Next week we're watching Season 2, Episode 16, The Locket. And this is from the Netflix summary. Aaron appears on board from a planetary visit, having...
Actually, sorry,
oh my God.
I hate to cut you off. So, we've got 3 episodes, and then a 3-part trilogy.
And then a single finale.
How do we want to break this up?
I don't know. How do you want to break it up?
For show purposes.
Do you want to do... Oh, it's dense. I was going to say I want to do...
I think we should do 2s, but then the last 3 episodes are one thing. Is that too much?
What do you mean the last 3 episodes?
So we do Locket, The Ugly Truth.
This
then
week?
we do Our Clockwork Nabari and Liars, Guns, and Money Part 1.
Okay. And then 2, 3 finale?
2, 3 Diamond Economy.
That probably works. Because we can't do the part 3 in a row without eventually having like a 1 episode, which would be bad.
Yeah.
And then we can do a Season 2 recap episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
So yeah, this week we're watching 16 and 17.
Yep.
The Locket. Aaron appears on board from a planetary visit, having aged 160 cycles.
Ugh.
With Moya stuck in time, she returns to the planet, and Crichton must follow. That's, again, one of those that could go either way.
Okay, I guess it doesn't go the best way.
Yeah, more likely.
Then we've got The Ugly Truth, episode 17. Crace announces that he's going to remove the Talon gunship's weapons and replace them with a non-lethal Plocavian weapon called the Dampening Net. Oh, so Crace comes back. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's a weirdly, a boring description of what sounds like a good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be fun. We have a lot coming up. I'm excited to be done with Season 2. Just because I like the beginning of seasons. Thank you so very much for watching Farscape with us and listening to ScapeChatz. You can find us on the internet. You can email us questions, comments at ScapeChatz@gmail.com. That's ScapeChatz with a Z at gmail.com. You can hit me up online on Twitter. That's twitter.com/Alan Ibrahim, ALLENIBRAHIM. And you can find Magellan at twitter.com/JustAFluke, spelled just A, as you would expect, and then Fluke is PFLUKE. And Magellan has a cool online webcomic. It's great, it's fun, it's beautiful, I cry, I laugh, and I just fall in love every week. It's called The Platonic Solids, and you can find it at theplatonicSolidscomic.tumblr.com. Magellan.
Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For being here for another week of ScapeChatz.
Of course.
This is ScapeChatz. Somewhere in the universe.
Whoosh.